as you can see right here on the Garden of Nash, we have several beds like this, and it takes a lot. We're literally starting from the first time of the season, getting the beds cleaned out, getting more fertilizer, more soil on top, just to replenish what we lost over the years, and to plant some leafy greens and early spring seeds and crops. So as you can see, kind of like our other beds, we have stuff in here that was growing, like peppers, and I believe there's some thyme here. This is actually a perennial here. It just depends on where you're growing, your climate again. I'm in zone between 7B and 8A. And so you also see some cilantro over here. So you can probably move this out the way. And you can see right there, there's several cilantros there. They're coming in. And there's something else here. I'm not really sure what it is. Oh, that's cilantro too. Yeah, so it's everywhere. Usually I plant my herbs and spices in a container like this because for those of you that know, herbs and spices, they like to take over sometimes. Hence you can see with my giant rosemary bush here. So I'm probably gonna take up some of those cilantro, get them out of the yard so it doesn't go crazy. It's okay to leave some of them in there, but since we're gonna literally go through and break up the soil, we don't want to, risk damaging it. So I'm gonna remove those and probably put them in another pot, and then we'll start fresh. Only thing remaining will be our rosemary. All right, so here we go. All right, so what we're about to do is clean up the garden bed, one of our beds. I actually have several beds like this. And again, I have lots of pots and containers all around the yard, front and back, side to side. But what we're gonna do is just show you kind of how I clean up my garden. So what you'll see is there are some plants left over from the winter season. So these are actually collards, and they're still pretty edible. If you cut them, they'll come again pretty much up until, I don't know, early spring again. But they're pretty much reached the end, towards the end of their growing season. So I'm gonna leave the couple that are still kind of flourishing, and then I'm gonna pull up the other ones because they're just making space in the garden. And you know, we don't want something taken away from the nutrients that the other plants that are thriving would be able to soak up. Also, you see a lot of leaves. You'll also see like some of these twigs and things, and I have pine trees all around the yard, so definitely gonna have to clean that up. And you'll see a lot of sand here. I'm actually growing my beds up against a retainer wall that you see right here. And so it's really hard to keep the sand out the garden, but it's cool. That's not the worst of my troubles. If you add in the pests and the squirrels and all that, the much bigger problems to fish to fry. I did get that problem fixed. We put down some ground cover that's gonna grow really well in this spring because I had an erosion problem. But I'm gonna pick out these plants that aren't as big, and who knows, maybe we'll grow them in a pot and see if they still thrive. Maybe we'll do a little experiment there because we are the techie gardener, and do some experiments. But anyway, here we go. So now I'm wondering if I find any sweet potatoes in the soil. Definitely a lot of roots down here. You can just kind of follow the roots. Hoping I don't see anything to pop out at me. This seems like a pretty big root there. Let's see if we can find anything. Anything I may have missed last year. Sweet potatoes grow really deep. Sometimes it's hard to get all of them. Man, it's definitely something going on in there. Got a couple little roots in there too. You can kind of see this. So we got something going on. See if we can get to the bottom of it, literally. Might have to switch. Oh, did y'all see that? It's a piece of a sweet potato. I'll show a picture of my sweet potatoes I grew a few years ago. I got like 10 sweet potatoes from 2 sweet potato halves. That's why I love gardening. The math doesn't add up, actually. All right. See what we got here. May not lead to anything, but it's cool to just check it out and see, at least. Look at that. So as you see, the sweet potatoes didn't do that well. They normally way bigger than that, but they were trying. Bless their heart, we say in the South. All right, I don't want to disturb my collard greens too much. Whatever is in there though, it'll eventually decompose and, you know, help the soil. So it's not a big thing. It's just kind of fun to dig for treasure. All right, that's enough. I don't think we're done. Oh, wait. These things are just all over the place. See, that's one that's decomposed. So that's what happens when it decomposes. You see the holes in there? So the worms and the organisms in the soil, they go through and eat the nutrients. They take the nutrients to other parts of the soil, and then they leave this, which eventually dries up. As they say, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. All right, we're gonna stop digging for treasure and get back to work. Just thought I might find another one in there, but all right, we're gonna stop playing around. Get back to work here. Huh? All right, y'all, so I am here. What I did was I got some extra soil. This is organic soil, and it is a multi-purpose soil, so it has some fertilizer in it. I think it's best and cheaper sometimes to stick with the multi-purpose, but just change out how you fertilize the soil depending on what it is that you're planting. So if it's flowers versus vegetables, you may need more composition of one type of fertilizer than the other. We also have some, in addition to the organic, we have some planting mix as well as potting soil. I wanted to do a lot more gardening containers because the sun moves so crazy around my yard. I like to move the pots and the containers to where they get the most sun. And sometimes you really don't know until you start to grow it, and you can kind of experiment with it a little bit. I know last year my beds actually ended up getting less sun towards the latter part of the season, which stumped a lot of my growth. And so we'll work on that. Also, in terms of the beds, there are certain things that grow well here in my area with less sun. And so I've learned that over time. And just remember those things when you keep track of it every year. I actually don't have a great journaling process. I mean, I do type notes in my phone, but for me, the best method of journaling is actually taking pictures. I can track the time I took the picture, the location. I also like to track, if you're starting a garden for the first time, I also like to track how the sun moves across your yard. So we all know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, but in what way is your home position against that? And so what I do is I take a picture at 8 in the morning, 10 in the morning, 12, etc. Every couple of hours from like 8 to 5, so you can kind of see how the sun moves across your yard. So you know the areas that have the most sun, the areas that have the least sun, least amount of hours per day. If you're growing anything fruit-wise, vegetable-wise that produces a fruit, you're gonna wanna have a good amount of sun. I think the recommendation is like 6 hours a day. For some of those, you can get around that, like the frost tolerant plants. like your leafy greens and the early spring plants, they don't need as much sun. But as you get more into the summer, actually, because it gets so hot here, some of the things that do require sun don't do as well when the sun is out and it's so hot. So just keep that in mind. As so gardening in the containers allows me to adjust that. All right, so in terms of fertilizer, what I have is I use a blood meal. I'm also able to spread this around as much as I need to. One thing that I don't know, a lot of people know this, but every fertilizer, it breaks down the amount of compounds. So if you ever notice those 3 numbers at the top of a fertilizer, that actually breaks down. I think it's nitrogen, phosphorus, and sodium or something. I forget what the 3 compounds are, but that tells you how much is in each fertilizer that you buy. So that helps, you'll know based on that, based on what you're growing, you may need some that are more heavy on the first element versus the last element or the middle element. So same here, I also have some of the bone meal. This is all organic, and you'll see these 3 numbers, 4, 12, 0. So this is also, oh, here we are, nitrogen, phosphate, and calcium. Those are what those 3 numbers indicate. So it actually tells you on the bag too. This is probably better for things that bulb, that have flowers. It's always good to grow flowers in your garden too. You need good pollinators so you can attract the bees, especially if you're growing things like peppers. I like to grow my okra flowers. They attract a lot of bees too. So it's all good. Everything works together in the ecosystem of the garden. Last but not least, I have this last bit of fertilizer here. And this is actually organic, for organic gardening. It's called Plant Tone. It's made by the same company. I've had really good progress with this company, and it is a special formula that I'm actually trying out for the first time. So you and me both, we're gonna learn together. But anyways, it was on sale, but it's the original organic for flowers, vegetable, trees, and shrubs. So again, I like to get something that I can work into the garden for whatever it is I'm planting. And I wonder, does it have the 3 numbers on here as well? Yeah, here we go, 533. So it's more of a balance, but again, hence it works better for a wide variety of plants and flowers. All right, so let's get started with cleaning up one of our beds.